Council, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
Allegiance to
to
the
the
flag
flag of the United States of
of
America,
America and to the republic for which it stands,
One nation,
nation,
under God,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty
liberty
and justice for all.
for all. Most.
Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilor deMedeiros,
Present.
Councilor Burk,
Present.
Councilor Perry,
Present.
Councilor Vieira,
Present.
Councilor Janick,
Present.
Councilor Cook,
Here.
Councilor Edwards,
Present.
all present and
Thank
accounted.
you. Before we start the meeting, I'd like to do something on a suggestion of Councilor Vieira, which I think was a wonderful thought. And so at this moment, I would like to take a moment of silence for Sean Smith, a young man from Tiverton who fought a brave battle with cancer for the last year. His battle ended Sunday, December 13th. For those of us who have followed the Super Shawnee Chronicles, we saw a brave young man who got to live and see amazing things and meet amazing people with the support of all our Tiverton citizens and businesses. Shawnee said, I am in, went into the fight knowing the outcome, but still gave it his best. I think that's what Shawnee did. He was a great inspiration to all of us. And on behalf of the Tiverton Town Council, I would like to express our condolences to his family and all of his friends. Thank you. Consent agenda. And by the way, Bill's wearing his Shawnee shirt tonight in Shawnee's memory.
That's why.
Yeah. Consent agenda. Approval of the town council minutes, December 14th, 2020, regular session, December 14th, 2020, executive session. Acknowledgement receipt of minutes from the boards, commissions, and committees. The planning board 1, the board of canvassers 1. Acknowledge receipts of reports, Denise Surratt, November budget and revenue reports. Acknowledge receipts of correspondence. Would anyone like to take anything off the consent agenda?
Madam President,
Yes, Mike?
item A1.
Okay. Anything else?
Yes.
Entertain a motion to,
Oh, there's somebody else.
I want to,
all right, go ahead, Donna.
yeah, B2, Board of Canvassers.
Okay.
Ryan.
Anything else? Okay, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the remainder of the agenda, excluding A1 and B2.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made in second. My dog is now barking at Donna's dog. I'd like to make a motion and a second. All those in favor? Bill?
Aye.
Donna?
I'm sorry, between the two dogs, I'm sorry. All right, you wanted to hear what I wanted to say?
No, we're just,
Move it. Move
All
it.
right. Remove what?
We're just voting.
Donna? Do I
Yeah, I
have,
want to move and talk about 2B. All right. I was reading the
no,
minutes.
Donna, hang on. She's on mute. She's not on you yet. Denise, you're on mute.
Donna, we're just voting on the consent agenda, absent those two things. We're not at the comment period yet.
I thought so, yeah, okay.
Jay, what is your vote? Jay, do you approve?
Yes.
Mike? You're on mute, Mike.
Mute, Mike.
Yes.
Deb?
Brian,
Yes.
No?
you can't.
Yes.
Okay, all approved.
I think we need the dog ordinance.
All right,
Chris, can we,
everybody, wait a minute. Gibby, stop it. Go lay down. All right, we're gonna take item A1. Mike?
So, Joan, it's mostly a question, I think, possibly of your use of a term that I'm not familiar with in terms of minutes. On page 4, item 10, on page 5, I didn't note the item, and on page 6, you use the term relative. And let me see if I can pull those up. Page 4 under item A, you use motion to approve the relative reappointment twice there. And then on page 5 under general business C, the relative request to advertise, that was related to one of the positions for the boards. And then page 6, twice, it was under the MTG contract. And I have a specific piece on that. And then under Councilor Perry's on the advertising of the DPW position. You're on mute.
Okay, it's just, relative is just a repeat of what the request is.
So my one concern is whether or not the general public would understand that. And I don't know, Mike, if you've seen that used in other settings.
I have not.
Yeah, if I may, that's my terminology, and it's related to the original agenda item, rather than repeating everything verbatim. I've used that several times throughout the past year.
Okay. Okay. My one concern specifically then would be with the MTG contract, because I believe the motion was specific to the December 7th memo, because there were 2 memos or two letters from MTG with different amounts in them. And I believe it was specific to the December 7th amount.
It was.
So if you've been using that, Jeannie, that's fine. I would just ask that we amend that motion to approve the contract renewal based on the December 7th letter from MTG to the town, to Rick Perry.
Okay, understood. We'll make that change.
Okay, I need a motion to approve A1 with amendment.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Bill seconded. Bill, what's your vote?
Yes.
Donna,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Deb,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Item B2, Donna.
Yes, I was a little confused. I was reading the notes, and on the second page, it was talking about the certification of the write-ins, and it talked about qualifying and certifying all of the write-ins for the budget committee. So I was like, at that point, I was like, I don't understand still why we have to advertise. Has something changed? Did we had to advertise for those positions?
So I can answer that, Denise, if you want me to.
Okay, please, Joe.
So the Board of Canvassers is just certifying that those people were the people who received the write-in votes. That's a certification. That doesn't mean that they were, that just means that they got the number of votes. It obviously doesn't mean that they were elected, except for those people who filled the 2 spots. That's separate and apart from an issue of how you fill a vacancy on the Charter Commission, on the Budget Commission, once the election is over. So you had, I think, 2 or 3 people who resigned, and only those people who are eligible, only those people who were actually on the ballot, in other words, submitted signatures to get on the actual ballot, not write-in candidates, are eligible to be filled those spots, that those people that are just left. So because we didn't have we've exhausted that list because they won. We went to the next list is now going to be advertised. Excuse me. That's why you had to advertise it. You just can't take write-in candidates because write-in candidates do not meet the definition of a qualified eligible voter as defined in the new charter, which means that you had to be certified and on the official ballot. These people, the write-in candidates, were not on the official ballot. They were just write-ins, and so they did not qualify to move up the spot once an election is over.
You understand that, Donna? All right,
I
let me
just
try to
thought
explain it a
qualified
little
meant that
different.
they're
There was 5 positions.
registered voters.
So Donna,
Registered voter.
there were 5 positions available because of
Yeah.
terms ending.
Right.
So David Perry got 1. So then there was 4 positions eligible. So the top 4 write-ins get it. So now we have a full budget committee. And since then, we've had resignations because they've been elected to other committees. So then those, and I believe it's 3, right? It's Deb, Mike
Dakotas,
Jen.
and Jen Jocelyn.
So there's 3 now available for the council to appoint. The write-ins don't get those 3 according to the charter.
They just get the ones that were up for election.
The vacant positions at the time of the election.
So Donna, the relevant section is section 202 of the charter. And it says, and it's entitled Vacancy of Elected Positions. And it said, the last sentence is, a qualified candidate as used in this section is a person who declared for the vacated position, obtained the requisite signatures to appear on the ballot, and appeared on the ballot in the election. So only those qualified voters who declared for the vacated position, obtained this requisite number of signatures, in other words, that's a declaration of candidacy, the 50 signatures, and appeared on the ballot in election. Write-in candidates do not appear on the ballot. They're in the blank. So because those write-in candidates were not qualified as defined in your charter 202, you have to go out and they're not eligible to be moved up. You go out for the advertising for the 3 positions that you just had. And that's clear from the language of the charter. Nancy Mello pointed this provision out to me before she left, because I actually didn't know that this position even existed, this definition of qualified, but apparently this was done in a charter change a couple of years ago. Yep. And it's clear to me that in order for you to be moved up, if it's a vacant position, you have to be a qualified candidate, and the only qualified candidate are those people who actually declared for office. And that's right in the definition of this charter provision.
All right. The reason I questioned it is because of the fact that they voted and certified the rest of them after having the 4. So, okay, I'm all set.
Yeah, the certification only means that she's certified that those people appeared on the ballot and they got the number of votes. That's all they're certifying. They can't be declared winners because they didn't win.
Okay, thank you.
So I'd like a motion to approve 4B2.
I'll make a motion to approve 4B2.
All right, so Donna made the motion. Who seconded?
Second, Mike.
Mike. I'm mentioning who made the motion, who seconded for Joan and Jean. Sometimes it gets confusing to figure it out with all of them. Okay, thank you. So Bill?
Yes.
Donna?
Yeah.
What, Donna?
Yes.
Okay, Jay?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Joan? Oh, no, I'm sorry, Deb. I'm sorry. Deb?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Public comments regarding council agenda items or other business. Comments received from Jonathan A. Cottrell in support of the Geraldo, I'm going to screw up this name, Curas Buddies and Brothers Incorporated. Did you all receive the letter?
Yes.
Is Jonathan
Yep.
here? Jonathan, it doesn't appear that he's in the audience, so I'll read the letter. Good morning to whom it may concern. My name is Jonathan A. Cottrell. I am an abutter to the property of 77 Main Road, Tiverton. I am writing this letter in regards to the hearing of the Geraldo Carraz of Buddies and Brothers Incorporated, 77 Main Road, Tiverton, Rhode Island. Mr. Carraz is requesting the insurance of a Class BBL liquor license. I fully support his interest in operating the described establishment and kindly ask the board to consider approving his request. Please let me know if you have any questions. Jonathan Cottrell. Thank you, Jonathan. Is there anybody else, any other comments, public comments that we've received? No. Anyone in the audience, any of the participants, attendees, do you have any public comments? Okay, thank you. Appointments and resignation. Library Board of Trustees is a 7-member board, 3-year terms, 2 vacancies. Kim Sutherland, 199 Fury Avenue, request reappointment to expire 10/15/2023. Is Kim available?
Is not in the waiting room.
I do know that Kim has served very well in the last couple of years. She's been a very,
Yes,
she's been a very
outstanding.
participant of the library.
Can- Madam President, can we make an appointment tonight, or is this something we have to wait for 2 weeks?
We can, but we need a motion to waive
Motion to waive.
our policy.
I'll make a motion that we waive our usual policy of waiting till the next meeting, seeing how there's no one else that applied.
I'll second.
Okay, Deb second. Bill,
Yes.
Donna,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Deb,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes,
and I'm a yes.
and then I'd like to make a motion to reappoint Kim Sutherland, 199 Ferry Avenue, to be reappointed to the Library Board of Trustees to expire on 10/15/2023.
Do I have a
Second that.
Jay seconded. Bill,
Yes.
Madam President, just a quick question.
sure.
We received no other applicants for either of these positions? Okay,
No.
thank you.
Donna,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Deb,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes,
and I'm a yes. Thank you.
I would just like to say that I'd love to see somebody fill that last position. They've just done such a great job with the library, especially this year with COVID. And Kim's done a great job. It's a great board, and Catherine has done wonderful things with the library since she took over. So it'd be nice to see somebody else. It's a good way to get involved with the town by joining a well-run board in need of another person.
Deb, I got a couple of calls within the last week, people interested. And
Great.
I told them to call Joan.
Okay,
and get the
good.
application. So I think there's other people interested. All right, Board of Licensing, advertised public hearing. Chris, how do I pronounce this? Do you know?
I would say it's Geraldo Juarez.
Juarez, okay. Geraldo Juarez, Buddy and Brothers Incorporated, 77 Main Road, Tiverton, Rhode Island. Request approval for BB liquor and entertainment license, subject to meeting all legal requirements. Is anyone present?
I don't see anybody.
I don't see anybody either. Okay,
And Denise, can I ask a couple of questions?
of course you can.
I've been remiss. I've never, ever been in Buddies.
Wow.
So is this a renewal, or haven't they always had a liquor license and a victualizing license?
Well, I think it's a different ownership, right? So when they
Is
do
that what's
that,
happened? They changed owners?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
it's been closed for about 6 years, so
Well, that's
I think the
my
license
excuse for
went
not
in.
being in there.
Yeah, it's been
Don't
closed for at
believe
least
that.
6 years.
As a Tivertonian, you've never been in Buddies.
I
Boy.
think, I think it went into receivership back in 2010.
Yeah, so a good 7, 10 years, yep.
Yeah, it was because they had a flood, I think, and it got all
Yeah.
mold inside.
Yep.
They
Well,
just
from the
had to do a lot of
outside, it looks like-
remediation.
From the
Well, now it
outside,
looks a lot better.
it looks
Looks
like they've done a
beautiful.
lot of remodel.
I'll probably
Looks
get yelled
beautiful.
at on Facebook.
Jay, I was never in there either.
Okay, thank you.
Really?
All right, I'd like to entertain a motion. Well, first, yeah, I'm gonna open
Can I-
this up to the
Can I
public.
just ask one more question?
Yeah.
Can I ask one more? It says 77. The old Buddies was 79 Main Road. I think they're two buildings together, 77, 79. I was just
were.
wondering why going with 77 as opposed to 79 now.
Bill, there were 2 numbers. There was 2 buildings, and then he confined it into 1 building. So he's probably going with 77 because lucky 7, maybe. I don't know.
Okay, thanks.
This is a public hearing, so I'd like to open it up to the public. Is there any participant that would like to speak?
So if there, if there are any participants in the waiting room who would like to speak on this matter, please raise your hand. And the contact information is published on the agenda. To dial in at 877-853-5247.
So was this license that we're looking at, this license was already in effect and just had not been renewed over these years? So
Yeah,
it's been,
been dormant, so to speak.
okay, all right. And is that the name he's looking at, Buddies and Brothers? Or is that what he's doing business as?
That's his trade name. So that's what he's doing
Yeah.
business as.
So Counselor, the application is an application for a new liquor license, so it was available for someone to apply to within the town, and that's why he applied. So it's not, doesn't really go with the existing building. It was just a new license that was available for people to apply to. And so it was available and he applied. And the business name is listed on the application is Buddies and Brothers.
So
I think
Mike,
it's
this
cute.
would, Mike, this would not be a transfer of a license. This would be a new license request, correct?
This is a new
Okay.
license. Based upon your comments, I'm just assuming, don't take this to the bank, but I'm assuming that the old license was never renewed.
Right.
And therefore it was just sitting in the bank of licenses that the town has available for people to apply to. BL licenses are, there's no limit unless there's an ordinance that tells you how many you can have in the town. So he has, apparently there's a license available. He's applied for it as a new license. And so that's what he's doing. It's not a transfer.
Thank you.
Okay.
So if there's anybody in the waiting room again who would like to speak on this matter, please raise your hand. And for the deference to the council president, this matter has been advertised. There were 20 abutters that received registered letters, certified letters, I mean, and they were also given the notice of this meeting and the Zoom information as well. And I'll ask for a third time. If there's anybody in the waiting room who would like to speak on this matter, please raise your hand. And again, if there's anybody in the YouTube world who would like to speak on this, it's 877-853-5247.
And thank you, Mr. Cotter. And Madam President, I'd like to point out too that this is advertised not only for a liquor license, but for an entertainment license as well. So it's a public hearing on both the liquor and entertainment license. So I would ask that we vote separately on each license.
Right.
But I just, if anybody has comments on either the liquor or entertainment license, now's the time to speak up.
Is it also victualling? Because that's what it says on the cover page.
That's a separate license. That's not a public hearing. So yes. So we
Okay.
do the public hearing ones first, and then we do the non-public hearings.
Okay, I'd like to entertain a motion.
Yes, Madam President, not hearing any objections or anyone wanting to speak on it, I would make a motion that we grant the request of a liquor license for Buddy and Brothers Incorporated, 77 Main Road, Tiverton, Rhode Island,
I'll second that.
subject to meeting all legal requirements.
Motion
just-
by
and
Councilman
just
Motion seconded.
I'm sorry, Madam President, just so the record's clear, it's a BV liquor license. So we are voting to approve a BV liquor license as
BV.
stated in the application.
Okay, BV liquor license. Thank you.
Motion made by Joe, seconded by Deb.
Yeah.
Bill,
Yes.
Donna,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Deb,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes,
and I'm a yes.
And Madam President, just so the council knows, just for education purposes, maybe you already know this, a BV license is a liquor license that must be an establishment that serves food as well. The V is for viculating, so that's why it's BV.
Okay. Thanks, Mike.
Item B, Geraldo Correggio Buddies and Brothers Incorporated, 77 Main Road, Tiverton, requests approval for a victualling license, subject to meeting all legal requirements.
Madam President, can we just go back to A because we need to approve the entertainment license as well. We did the liquor license and we're going to do the entertainment license separately. Sorry.
Why are we doing it separately when it's one motion, it's one agenda?
They're
item?
two separate licenses. I just want
All
to.
right, I just thought I could do it together. All right, Joe, well, whoever.
yep, I'll make a motion to approve what did you say it was? A liquor license?
Entertainment.
Entertainment license.
Hey, entertainment license for Buddy Brothers Incorporated, 77 Main Road, Tiverton, Rhode Island, subject to meeting all legal requirements.
Second.
Second.
Bill seconded. Bill,
Before we vote, I just have a question because on the application, it has the hours of operation. So it says Sunday, 11 to 9 p.m., Monday, 11 to 1 a.m., and then Tuesday through Saturday, there's a line through it. Does that
Probably
mean?
closed.
Does
No, I
that
think
mean?
that means this. Oh,
It's
I
this-
assume that meant the same all the way across.
Well, I didn't know if it meant the same or are they closed on those days?
I would read that to mean 11. We can clarify this when they come in for the license because it'll be on the license, but it'll be on 11 to 1 a.m. for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, just
Saturday?
like the Monday. Yep.
Okay.
And Madam Clerk, when they do come in, we just need to specify that on the license. Thank you.
Good catch, Deb.
Well, I just want to know if I go, Joe, if they're open.
Yeah.
It's an easy walk.
It's an easy walk, listen, and I did frequent it, so,
yeah, with me.
yes.
Yeah, but could you walk home after? That's the
Yeah.
key question.
Let's not go there.
All right, Counselor Vieira.
Close walk,
do I have a
downhill.
vote?
Yes.
Donna,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Deb,
Yes,
Joe,
Yes,
and I'm a yes. Okay, now I'm gonna do the victualling license. For Buddies and Brothers Incorporated, 77 Main Road, request approval for victualling license, subject to meeting all legal requirements. Do I have a motion?
yeah, I'll make that motion. I may as well do three, right? I'll do the
Yeah.
Well, you're on a
three-peat.
roll.
There you go.
Do I
I'll
have a
make that
second?
motion.
Who second?
Second.
Second it.
Mike?
Jay,
Give it to Jay.
Bill,
Yes.
Donna,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Deb,
yes,
Joe,
Yes,
and I'm a yes. General business, Counselor Cook, requesting bi-weekly report updates from the town administrator and monthly litigation updates from Solicitor Marcello. Donna?
Yes, I would, we were getting reports from the town administrator, and then it stopped. I think it's important, not that we interfere in his job duties, but that we actually know what's going on. So the other thing is the Solicitor Marcello. We should have updates on a monthly to the council on litigation. It is important. So the reports haven't been sent to the council. So I wanted to formalize this. It was sort of an ask, and if it wasn't done, it wasn't anything in writing except that someone would comply. So as a matter of policy, to keep the council informed on routine town business. The other that I was interested in is we've in the past found out by the various social media sites that something really important has happened in town. And I really think if the town administrator knows about it, that we should get it like a little alert that something happened. I'm not looking to micromanage the town administrator or anybody else, but what I'm saying is there was a fire recently with a loss of life. It would have been, as town councilors, just to say, we've had a very sad thing happen. This happened tonight. Or if there's an accident at DPW site, very, very out of the way, important events happening, not the usual things that could be put in a report, but something really important or serious. There have been no updates on litigation due to no schedule of reporting to the council from the solicitor. Monthly updates will provide this. The solicitor and the administrator cannot change a council directive on litigation without a discussion with the council. I put that on for a reason, and we'll be discussing that in executive council, discussing a possible vote. Now, however, they want the reports, whether it's monthly from the solicitor or just a monthly report from the town administrator or biweekly reports. I will leave that up to the town administrator, but I would like some type of an update on town business.
Madam President?
Yes, Mike.
Don, I don't disagree with you about getting reports, and I know Mr. Carter had sent something out last week, I believe it was, that was very thorough, and I appreciate that. My only question is, you use the language formalized as a matter of policy, being a bit of a policy wonk. I don't see a policy in front of us. So if I were Mr. Carter or even the solicitor, if I were Mr. Carter or the solicitor, I would be wondering exactly what are you asking me to provide? How frequently? What are the major ticket items that you would want me to provide in terms of the events that may occur in town that might be on somebody's social media? There are things that you may think are important for the administrator to tell us, and for me, it may be not a huge deal. So I think really trying to clarify so that I think our staff need to be able to understand specifically what the council as a whole is looking for. So I'd love to be able to see a policy if we're looking for a policy.
Well, it's been a kind of a loose policy where it's just by word of mouth. Could you please, give us a report? And then if it's not done, and I'm not picking on Chris at all. In the past, I think it was done not formally any type of policy, but could we please? I remember a long time ago there wasn't any type of reporting to the council, and some awful things came down. I'm not going to go into the past, and all of a sudden you found out, all these things were going on, and the town council actually said, why aren't we being told these things? So I just don't want it to be a surprise. I think the progress report that Chris sent out, and he's done some other reports infrequently, is fine. As far as an accident or something out of the way, like a fire where there's not every fire, but if there's a loss of life, or and I would leave that up to the town administrator. If you want to go into having it written down as a policy that they have to do it, that's fine. Maybe we should, because then they would know where they stand and what they need to do. And then we're not, you know, getting, well, I wanted a weekly report and somebody else wants a bi-weekly and someone wants a monthly. If you want it written down, I'll be glad to put something together. It's up to the council.
I'd like to say something. It's really never been a policy. The town administrators usually give us a weekly report, and that's the way it was for a while. To Chris's defense, it's been a really crazy year. So we got as many reports as we could, considering what was going on. But we used to, a matter of practice was a weekly report from the town administrator, who would just tell us like things that happened during the week that we needed to know, or the progress of some stuff. As far as major events, we usually, like a shooting in town, we would definitely be told that night that that's going on. Any major events that we would see in the news the next morning, most of us don't like to be blindsided and like to know about it. Regardless of multimedia, it's waking up in the morning, putting on the TV and hearing there was a shooting in Tiverton with deaths, and we weren't aware of it. I don't know if it necessarily has to be a policy. It could be something that we just ask the administrator to do. It's really up to you guys. As far as the lawyer, we usually have quarterly reports, and especially right now when the courts aren't really open and there's not a lot going on, there's really not a lot to talk about with litigation. I am going to put it on the next agenda. Mike's going to go through for the new counselors all the pending litigation and the updates on them all, because there's new counselors that have no idea what's out there. But we used to have quarterly unless something happened. And then of course, Mike would announce it, or if it's something that had to be discussed in executive, he'd bring it to us. But sometimes things don't move that quickly, especially now during COVID. So I believe that Mike told me that the courts aren't going to open until June. So
just, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, Council President.
Go ahead.
So we got notification late last week that all civil trials will not occur for the next 6 months and probably June 30th. And I'm not even convinced it's going to happen after June 30th. So, so there's going to be very little movement in litigation, as you probably know, and I agree that you should be getting a report. I will give it any interview you want. We Travis and I keep a list in our office that we update anyway. But I will tell you, you know, a lot of the cases are being handled by the trust, and we kind of just get notified by the trust of what's going on. You know, we'll get that to an executive session tonight. We have a matter on, but there's other stuff that we're handling that are, you know, on behalf of this town that's not, you know, represented by the interlocal trust that we're just doing, whether it be a zoning appeal or a OMA or APA request or any other type of litigation that the town may be involved with that's not covered by insurance. I'm happy to provide that at any intervals that you want. But I will say that, you know, civil litigation moves slow normally, and that's even going to move more slow now because of the court's efforts to, you know, curtail the COVID. So I'm happy. You know, I think if you want a monthly report, that's fine. I think a quarterly might be a little bit more realistic, because you'll see some, hopefully see some movement. But of course, if there's something comes up like a settlement, like you know, we just settled a bunch of tax cases with the old council on the way out the door. So, you know, we were putting those on the agenda quite regularly, tax appeals. So with the understanding that obviously when something's coming up, we will let you know. And you know, I obviously cannot settle a case without the council's approval, especially those cases that are not being, you know, that we're not being represented by the Rhode Island Interlocal Trust. So, but I'll do anything that the council wants. We do keep a list, but I will tell you that, you know, the list doesn't get updated all that often until something major happens. I mean, I don't know if you want to, you know, again, to Mr. Burke's point, you know, if you want to know that I file an answer on a case, I can certainly put that in a report, but that's not very exciting. It basically means that the case is now ready to be litigated. But something major, I certainly would keep you involved, especially if it involves either a settlement of a labor dispute or a financial burden on the town or financial settlement. I'd certainly let you know something if that's happening, or if there's any, you know, potential exposure to the town that would not be covered by insurance.
And keep in mind, and I'll be discussing it later this evening because it is an agenda item, but at any time that the council wants an update on any specific case, they just need to put an agenda item in with Joan, and we'll put it on the agenda if it needs to be on an executive, which more than likely it would, then we'd put it on executive and ask Mike for an update. So at any time, if any counselor is wondering what's going on with a specific case, it is your right to put it on the agenda, and Mike will give a report, either there's no action or this is what's going on to this point. I don't feel that we need a policy on all of this because things change, and Chris may need to notify us twice a week if something is going on. And Mike, like I said, quarterly reports are usually sufficient, and if anything changes, the lawyer will ask to be put on an executive or put on a public meeting. Do any of you have any other opinions? Jay?
I'm just going to make a quick comment. I'm perfectly content with the administrator's progress summary that was part of this agenda. As Chris will tell you, I read it. I called him with a bunch of questions. He steered me in the right direction. It allowed me to go to a lot of these places and see what it was before, well before we had a meeting. I found it very helpful. I don't think we need a policy. He assures me that he's going to keep on doing something along these lines. I would leave it up to him really to decide what's in it, how much is in it. You know, leave the ball in his court.
Anyone else?
I'm fine with the way it's been going. I think other than the COVID issue we had this year, we were getting reports on a regular basis in the past. So I don't have any problem with the way it's been going.
I will try to keep them more updated than what they were.
Donna?
You got a lot on your plate.
I would hate to have them done so regularly that there may be stuff that's still in the works, and just, I'm just not one for writing a report just to write it. And I mean,
Right, and there may be
obviously
more.
if there's more information, that's great, but
But there may be more important things to worry about than doing a weekly report.
right.
So Donna, are you satisfied with bi-weekly reports? And I mean, Chris has been doing weekly reports right now, I believe, but bi-weekly reports. And if there's anything that we should know weekly, then he will tell us. And I think we've made a point that if anything major happens in town, a little shoot of an email would be great.
That's, if I know about it, I'll let you know.
Yeah, if you know about it. Right.
I do.
Oh,
Yeah,
I think Chris has enough common sense to let us know if there's something that should be passed on to us.
I think everyone's missing my point. The point is there isn't anything except by word. And there wasn't any reports since, I think, like August, and all of a sudden we did get the progress report, which I'm happy about. But I also said, as long as there may be a monthly report, it can be as frequent as he wants to do, or it can just be once a month. I'll leave it up to the town administrator, but I would like something. I don't want months to go by and I have nothing.
Okay,
That's my point.
I
And
understand.
I just wanted a conversation about it.
Yeah, if there's something that's important that we should know about, yeah, but if there's nothing happening, then why should we take his valuable time away from other things that he needs to do? I mean, he was doing up
Well,
until
because,
August, and we were,
Well-
we did have a lot of things going on in August, September. So, I think those were
I'm
more
sorry
important, and
you
that's why we
feel
didn't
that.
get the report.
Okay, wait a minute, Donna.
I'm sorry, Joe, you feel that way, but I feel that I didn't get any information for months. And that's why I brought this up.
And-
It's
Yeah, and
not-
all I'm saying, Donna, and all I'm saying was,
sorry, Joe,
he was
Wait
good.
a minute, Donna,
He was-
let's no talk.
He was good up until August is what I was saying, Donna. You're right. He was good up until August, and then we had a lot of things happen in August, September, October that he probably, they were more important than getting out that report. And that's all I'm saying. I'm
Well,
not
I'm
saying
sorry.
you're wrong. I'm
I
just saying
disagree
that's what happened.
Okay.
I really disagree with you that 2 months I
Okay.
had nothing.
Okay,
So,
so
I mean, if that's how you feel, that's fine.
Okay, so why don't we say
You don't
that
want to
Chris-
report, that's fine.
Chris will give us reports, and Chris and I spoke about it, and he does believe that it's a good thing and he's willing to do it. And let's see how it goes, and we'll readdress it in a month or so, just to make sure that everyone is satisfied with the progress. How does that sound?
Oh, man.
Sounds good to me.
Bill?
Don't need a policy, but it would be nice to maybe get something on the first, somewhere around the first of every month, right
Okay.
before the monthly meetings, something that may affect us for the month. And then maybe things that may have been closed out, finalized, settled. Those could be topics, and maybe on the first, somewhere on the first of every month. That way we can expect it. We know what's coming up for that month. We can start looking into things. And that maybe that's some kind of appeasement on both sides. Thank you.
Well, Chris, do you object to doing bi-weeklies or weeklies if you have a lot to say?
No, let's see how it works out. I will get them more often than what happened between I think it was the early part of September and now. Joe's right. There were a lot of things that were going on, and most of the council were
There were.
very, very well adept of what those issues were. So
Right.
didn't really need a report, but it is what it is. I will try to get these reports more often to you.
And Donna, we can readdress it in a month or so, let's say in 2 months, we'll see how the progress is going. If we need to bring it back up, we will. If not, then we'll let it continue. Does that sound all right?
It sounds fine to me. Thank you.
Okay. I don't need a vote on this or anything. This was just.
No, I just put it down just in case, because
All right.
then you couldn't do it.
Right.
How about, can we just get some guidance on the litigation, just so I know, so I want to meet people's expectations?
Litigation is quarterly, okay? And then if anything happens, then Mike will put it on executive. And like I said, if you want to ask about a specific litigation, you just give the agenda item to Joan and we'll make sure that it gets on it. At any time, you can ask for an update.
Sure.
Okay? All right, thank you. Councilor Cook, discussion and possible vote on recycling questions, concerns from public comment. Edward Ward continued from 12/14/20. I believe the
Right,
DPW director is here to address some of these concerns.
Yes.
Donna, would you like?
Well,
to
we
go
couldn't,
first?
yeah, we couldn't speak to some of the issues that Mr. Ward had brought before us due to the fact that it was a letter. So I did an agenda item so that we could do the discussion in as much depth as we could to get information for Mr. Ward about the recycling. And that's why, so we could discuss it.
So Rick has done a fairly decent job of outlining what those concerns were and how they've been addressed in the past and why it is where we're at today. So Rick, I'll let you address them if you want.
Are you talking to?
Can you hear me all right, Chris?
Yep.
Okay. This is Rick Rogers, DPW. The issue of the manual versus automated curbside trash pickup, recycle pickup certainly has been raised in the past and reviewed and discussed previously. It was part of the discussion for the 2017 trash recycle contract. Up to this point, no definitive preference has ever been chosen by the town, even though it's been discussed quite a bit. And for many reasons, and I'll go over a couple of those, the manual pickup method was kept back in 2017. And again, it's certainly expected to be part of the discussion in a few years when the curbside trash recycle RFPs bids are solicited. Prior to that RFP bid solicitation process, there would be a need for a few different things. One, the landfill recycle committee and DPW would need to raise public awareness. We'd need to gather feedback. The town would need to hold public hearings and samples, possibly of different size and type of bins would need to be made available for public viewing. And there are, of course, many pros and cons to each of the methods, and many details would need to be resolved prior to the bid solicitation. A few points: the manual pickup advantages, the lower contractor equipment cost, lower resident bin cost, easier for residents to carry and to place these bins, easier for curbside placement in regards to parked cars, and for instance, especially North Tiverton, no need to purchase automated bins. And also the current ordinance restricts bins to noon placement of the previous day. Some pros to the advantages to the automated pickup would be lower contractor labor cost, less litter due to covered bins, possibly every other week recycle pickup because you can put it in larger bins. Less bins at curbside is another advantage. And based on some information that we've received, the long-term cost would probably be lower on automated pickup. And I'm sure there's other pros and cons also. But there's also something to bear in mind is multiple aspects to, the points that have been raised. Just two examples are the ability of the elderly or persons with limited mobility to place the larger bins at curbside. And also just two of multiple points. How would the automated bins be purchased? These points are all brought up, not to say that it shouldn't be discussed. It certainly should be discussed as part of the RFP process in a couple of years when it goes out for proposals. But there's a lot of points. You have to require gathering of a lot of data. You got to get prices, you got to get information, you got to get public feedback. You have to review other municipal procedures that might impact the automated bins. You have to, for instance, parking. You also would want to look at the municipalities in the surrounding areas, what they do. And this kind of thing takes many months, not a few weeks to do that.
May I say something?
You're on mute. You're on mute, Denise.
Last time we went out for bid, this was discussed, and it was also discussed at public hearings, and I have to tell you, the public was not thrilled with the idea of doing the automated one for the many reasons that Rick said. And also, it was costly. It was costly to buy all the bins, and it was costly to get the trucks, and so we decided not to go with that at the time, but it certainly can be looked into next time we go out for bid. Donna?
Yeah, the other thing, if you remember, Denise, that Tricia had asked us if we in the future wanted to consider how Middletown does their trash. Right. And I remember us saying that we were open-minded about it. So, and I looked up their program, and it's kind of interesting. It's like you belong to a club, you pay a certain amount, and it's just a little different. Not everybody wants to participate, only the people that participate, and they use the bags also. It was just something that Tricia had brought up, and that we had been willing to as like a plan B or something like that. That was all. The other thing I wanted to say is Mr. Ward, is he in the waiting room or anything like that, or is
No,
he? No. Is he? No.
He's not.
No. I was just wondering if Joan could email Mr. Ward Rick's answer, and also the PowerPoint that was done at the Tiverton High School with the engineer might be another thing to point him to. He can do that on YouTube? He could probably watch it on YouTube. So is that possible, Joan, that you could email Rick's answer to him, to Mr. Ward?
We can certainly do that.
Joan?
Yes, we
Yeah,
can do that.
I appreciate that. I think he should get that answer. Even if he's not in the waiting room, he should get an answer. So,
Now, Donna, as far as what
Thank you.
Trish was suggesting with Middletown, I think that was very soon our whole trash process is going to change because of the landfill being closed. Can you hear me? Yes. So
right,
I think that that's when Trish, when we decide on what that budget would be, to find other ways either to lower costs if we have to. And I think that needs to be discussed at the time when the landfill is closed and we discuss the prices and how we're going to haul this trash.
right. But I think they don't have a recycle center in their town though. So, I mean, we're talking, the recycle center that we're talking about is like $700,000. So I don't know.
Well, the
That's the
cycle
route we
center is
decided.
already in the progress of going on because the former council voted to do it that way after several public hearings where the citizen did express that they wanted a recycle center. So that's why we voted that way. And that process is going on right now.
And Madam President,
Yes.
just to clarify something, when we discussed the automated collection back in 2017, it was $346,000 just to buy the bins.
Yep.
That was one of the detriments about that program. We had to go out and spend $346,000 to buy the large bins, first of all. And then some of the people felt they were too big to lug out to the roads. They had long driveways. So that was one of the deterrents on going that way. Just point of information.
Thanks, Joe. Bill?
I have a question for Rick Rogers. The recycling bins that we use now, there's a variation. Anybody can, if you get a sticker, if you buy your own, if you buy it from the town, is there a maximum size that we can use currently with the manual pickup?
Yes, Bill. Thank you for asking. And we try to do a pretty good job of informing people that come to the DPW that they are allowed to buy their own bin. They do not have to buy one that we purchase as a town from Rhode Island Resource Recovery Corporation. And of course, we also put in the plug for proper recycling. And the two criteria are fairly simple. They have to be 35 gallons or less. And of course, there's a weight limit just like there is on trash. And the second criteria is they have to be clearly labeled so that a truck driver driving down the road can see that they are recycle bins and people can hand paint, spray paint, stencil, etc., so that you know that it's a recycle bin. People use 30-gallon, basically Rubbermaid containers. They use Tupperware containers that might be 20 gallons. As long as they're 35 gallons or less, and again, you can buy them with wheels or without wheels, with lids or without lids, as long as those two criteria are fulfilled, 35 gallon and less, and clearly marked recycle.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I do have one other thing. Mr. Ward did mention in his letter about the street light at the bottom of the cul-de-sac on Starlet Drive. Do we have an update on that?
I'm happy to comment on that, Denise. Again, this is Rick Rogers, DPW. We have contacted Prism, which does the maintenance for the town on the streetlights. They were there in June and they did put a new bulb in. And since then, evidently it has gone out again. And they are sending a tech to check it out. And if it's simply the bulb again, they will replace it. If not, they will give DPW an idea of the cost for the repairs, because it is a decorative street light. It is underground electric. And again, really, there's nothing in the budget for that, those kind of repairs. So, but they will be checking it out and they will be getting back to DPW.
Thank you, Bill. And maybe, Joan, we can put that in our correspondence with him also, that we'll be checking on that light. Anything else from any of the counselors? Donna, are you all set?
I am, thank you.
Anything further? Okay. All right, thank you, Rick.
Yes, and one correction, I apologize, Denise. I just looked at my notes again. That was September 8th, the light bulb was replaced, but we did contact them again this month and they will be checking it out. I previously said June. I was in error. It was in September 8th.
Thank you, Rick. Okay, moving on. Administrator Carter requests from Superintendent Sanchioni to consider funding $132,180 for the replacement of a wind-damaged light pole station at Tiverton High School track.
So I have the superintendent is on. The backup that came with your package is fairly self-explanatory, so I will defer to the superintendent to clarify exactly what it is he's seeking.
Dr. Sanchioni?
Great, thanks, Mr. Carter, Madam Chairman, members of the Town Council. Yes, we provided you a very detailed package, and I want to start by saying that, this request was made as a means to just solve a problem. That was the sole intention. If it had any other impact, if anyone felt it was inappropriate, I want to take responsibility for that. But we're just faced with an issue that with one pole down, we're not allowed to use the field for any night events. And hopefully we're going to have an upcoming football season starting in March. We'll have lacrosse seasons in the spring, the later spring, and then we'll roll into next fall. So again, it's just the school committee and the administration's desire to try to present an opportunity and to explore options to see if we can get this fixed. We look at the field as a town resource. As you know, many members of the community use the field during the evening hours when the lights are on. And again, recognizing the town may not have any revenue either, we were just trying to pursue all options.
How long has this pole been down, Dr. Sanchioni?
Since last spring. So we had another pole come down as a result of a windstorm, and that pole was covered under our insurance policy, but we immediately brought in some structural engineers to inspect all the remaining poles. And that report, and I believe you have that report, documented that another pole was unsafe, which required us then to hire a crane and bring that pole down.
I'm just going to make a comment. As much as I would love to fix the pole, we don't have the funds. The town council doesn't have the funds to give you for that pole. Our capital requests were not even approved this year. I'm just wondering why you're not putting it on your capital request. It
is on our capital request list.
Oh, it is. Okay, so the budget committee will be considering this?
Yep.
Okay.
Again, the intention was just to explore every option. And again, I hope the council recognize that.
Well, it's just that we have emergency funds, but I wouldn't quite call this an emergency right now. And hopefully they will be able to repair. Hopefully the budget committee will approve this, but I don't see where we would ever get the funds for this. Mike?
Thank you, Madam President. Dr. Sanchioni, thank you. Just a couple of questions in looking at the documentation that you provided. You talked about this one pole, which I believe is the northeast face, correct?
Correct.
So it said that the cost of the weld repair would be less, would not be the best result repair as opposed to a stanchion replacement. But did you consider that as an alternative before taking it down?
No, only because it's documented in an engineer's report not to do that. I think the liability on the school department would have been immense if we did do that.
Okay. And then in both the southwest base and the southeast base, there's language in there that actually, it says that the welds look good, but there's language in there that recommends possible replacement for both of those. Are you looking at replacing those, including those in your capital budget for replacement?
Not initially. Again, as a result of that report, because they do look good, it's certainly going to require the school department to do an annual review of those posts moving forward.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Yes, I
Yeah.
have some.
Oh,
Before I say anything, I think Chris has been raising his hand.
okay. Chris?
I just have a couple of questions. This Ocean State Technical Services, it doesn't really delineate that they are structural engineers. They may be, they just don't put their qualifications down. But has there been any thought of looking at modifying the pole to incorporate like 6 gussets on each pole to strengthen the surfaces of the pole with welds instead of just re-welding the bottom? I mean, there are far cheaper methods of, rectifying this situation than the proposal that's in front of us. I would think that you would want to see and explore as many possibilities as possible.
Yeah, Chris, let me assure you that we have. And, safety being the #1 priority, and you're talking about a pole that one pole that's already has fallen, and fortunate no one was there. Taking any risk that would not give us the most safest replacement is something that, again, the liability is too huge for that.
Okay.
Jay, Donna, I see you too. I'm going to do Jay and then.
Okay, Dr. Sanchioni, I previously asked Dr. Sanchioni a bunch of questions, and I'll just breeze over them. But one question I will ask is, how old are these lights?
I can.
12?
I
Yeah,
think
Mike.
they went up in 2006.
I thought Dr. Sanchioni might know.
It's in that report. And I don't have it in front of me, but if someone's saying 2006, sure, we'll take that.
I was on the school committee when we built that field. I would say it was right around 2006.
2008.
It was earlier than 2008, I believe, but.
Well, I find it a little disturbing that
They were installed in 2008, according to the engineer.
Oh, wow.
it doesn't seem like these things should have failed in 12, 15 years, #1. #2, one of the questions I had was, we're buying a pole and the lights. One light assembly blew down and hit the ground, and I imagine it's destroyed. The other one was removed judiciously and laid down on the ground. I have a hard time understanding why we not reuse the light assembly. In other words, buy a pole and then just take the light assembly we have and put it on the new pole. It just boggles my mind that we can't do that. The other thing is, if this thing has failed this quick, logically to me, it has to be a maintenance taking care of issue. I mean, metal poles corrode, but if you have a program to find it and see it, you can correct it before damage occurs. And it just seems like that didn't happen. Now, I'm assured that there's going to be a program going forward to correct that, but it doesn't help us right now. Well, I'll just leave it at that. It just seems to me that I can see needing a pole, but I can't see spending $134,000 for the whole assembly. To me, that's like, you need new tires, so no, forget it. We'll just buy a new car.
Anyone else? Donna?
Yeah, it was me. Yeah.
Were you done?
I was reading the report. Excuse me?
Was Jay done?
I'm done. Thank you.
Okay. Go ahead, Donna. I'm sorry. Donna, it's your turn. Go ahead.
I thought he said he was done. Okay. Okay, thank you. Reading the report, it made me kind of concerned that the welding was not done correctly and directly had a direct effect on the integrity of the pole. The whole report over and over again is the welding and the wind shear of course, didn't help. And also the fact that it was never inspected. But from the get-go, the company did not weld it correctly. So it was already in a weakened state. So I'm just wondering if they will replace something that they didn't weld correctly in the first place. It says it's very, very clear in the report about the welding. It was not done well. And it lent to this weakness. So is there any way to go to the company and ask them to make us whole? Because it's in the report, there's pictures, the welding was not done correctly.
I think the question is, was there a warranty on this?
Yeah, Madam Chair, if I may, we did pursue that angle, and the company doesn't feel like they are liable. There is no warranty after that so many years. If it's certainly something we can continue to look at, but that's what we were left with.
Does anyone else have any?
Madam President,
Yes, Deb.
could I just ask, and Dr. Sanchioni, I think it's always worth the question. So I'm going to ask mine also to you. And I was going to ask about warranty, because I thought it was put in probably like sometime between 2007, 2008. So that was my first question. The second one was, you were denied insurance coverage on that, insurance replacement or repair.
Ms. Janick, to be clear, there's two poles that are down. One is covered under our insurance. The second one
Correct.
isn't. We did pursue the second pole through our insurance company, and we were told that it wasn't covered.
Is that because we took it down ourselves?
Well, they felt like that it's certainly a result of something that's not covered under our policy.
Okay,
We
okay.
took it down because it was told to us that it was a liability that could fall.
Correct. And a liability because there was some damage to it through wind or whatever the elements were that caused that. And so I'm guessing you can't appeal to the insurances, right?
We've tried that. You would have thought logically that would have been our first source of repair or replacement. And yeah, we just were left with where we are today.
Okay. All right, thank you.
One more thing, Denise.
Yes, Donna.
Yes, on, it's no particular page, but figure number 4, it says that the defects were inherent in the weld were augmented by side loading caused by wind shear. And they don't feel that, replacing in lieu of the weld repair, since it's difficult to quantify the possible metal fatigue present in the base metal. So I'm just wondering if the wind shear added to the weakness from the storms to this pole also. Yes, it didn't fall down, but it was ready to fall down. And I think you need to ask the insurance company to take another look and not take the first no, because I think it's in the same boat as the other one.
Sure, happy to do that. Again, we have vigorously pursued it, but happy to take another look at it for sure.
Thank you.
I think the main question here is, Dr. Sanchioni has come to ask if we would consider funding this. And like I said at the beginning, I don't think we have the funds to do this unless Mr. Carter or somebody else has a suggestion. I think it's wise to put it on their capital requests and see what the budget committee would like to do with this. Does anyone have any other opinions about the funding?
I don't think, we don't have the money. We can't even buy police. I mean.
Well, I know.
And the other thing is that, do they have any funds left from their capital expenses to pay for this in the meantime? Do they have anything from that extra account that they had. Is there anything left in there?
Well, I don't think, I asked the same question, but the audit that's due on December 31st, apparently, which would show the funds, apparently has been delayed per the the superintendent's request because they weren't ready with some figures. So Mr. Carter and the treasurer had to go to the Auditor General and get an extension for the end of January to until we get an official audit. So we won't find that out until the audit is done at the end of January. Is that correct,
Now,
Chris?
That's, my understanding is, yes, the auditors had contacted us and said that they need an extension so that the school department could. And I know we're off topic here. It's an announcement I was going to do a little bit later in the meeting, but that there was an adjustment that needed to be made that would only reflect the school department's books and records. It would not affect at all the town's books and records. So I asked for the request as to the Auditor General as the auditors had suggested, and the Auditor General did grant a 1-month extension.
So I don't think at this point,
I don't
and
think
correct
we know
me
what
if
the-
I'm wrong, Dr. Sanchioni, but you're not, the audit report hasn't come out yet, so you're not quite sure what's in that fund?
No, we do. I could save you the suspense. We wouldn't have put this on your agenda if by any means the school department could have funded it in any way, whether it was our Medicaid account or our fund balance. There's absolutely no revenue in either one of those accounts. And, you know, the timeliness of this was, you know, certainly it'll be on our capital request. But again, as you heard me say, there's a football season coming in March and a lacrosse season coming in May. And we're kind of hoping to have those lights up for those students and for the community during that time. And we know the timing of a capital request would come after that. So that's why we're pursuing every angle.
Well, unfortunately, there's no angle as far as.
Oh, I get that. And I just appreciate you taking the consideration. Thank you.
Bill, did you have your hand up?
Yes, thank you, Denise, and good evening, Doctor. It's nice to meet you. I would imagine you're here before us now. I would assume those football games can be day games. I would assume instead of Friday nights, you would have to notify the league that you would have to do a Saturday game. Is that what you quite possibly looking at?
Right. I'm not sure, you know, what our AD will when they will schedule, but you know, the obvious answer is yes, our home games would have to be day games.
So unfortunately, we'll have to be looking at day games instead of night games this year.
Correct.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Chris, do you have your hand up?
My only suggestion is, you know, obviously when this comes before the budget committee, they're going to want to see the same thing as alternate options. I don't know if there's any kind of lease purchases of these kind of things as well. You know, funding is going to be a really difficult issue even for this year as well. So I just don't want anybody to be surprised. As you know, even the gaming money, as you look at the financial reports we've received, there's very little coming in as far as what we anticipated. It's not, I think it's like a 10th of, you know, what we would normally expect. So it's going to be another dire year. So I just want everybody to be well-versed in trying to find as many different options as possible.
And the gaming money per the last council is in a restricted account until May, and that's when this council has to make a decision on what will happen going in the future with this money. Anyone else? Do we need to vote, Mike? Not really, right? Because, okay,
Madam President,
yes.
I would just like to say to Dr. Sascioni, I will see if I can reach out to somebody and see if there's something we can do in the community to try to help. I do know there are some people out there that are willing to do things, so maybe there's something we can do to get this done. I will be in touch with him sometime this week and let him know what I found out.
Okay.
Madam President, just to add to what Joe just offered, have you considered having the Tiverton Education Fund do some fundraising for this?
We haven't pursued that angle yet, only because they're doing so much for us on so many other fronts.
Okay.
It's, you know, as we will continue to explore every avenue, though. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sanchioni.
I appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Okay. Administrator Carter, discussion and potential workshop dates with Tiverton wastewater management.
So just for everybody's edification, I met with Leroy Kendricks this past week, and we discussed a number of different things related to both where he's going with the sewer program and with the on-site wastewater. He has a number of concerns related to the on-site wastewater. He would like to at least generally discuss with you tonight, and in all likelihood, try to set up some sort of future workshop so that he can fully brief you on the inner workings of what the Tiverton wastewater department does with respect to the on-site wastewater, what its requirements are, and what its funding mechanism really does. With that, I'll defer to Leroy Kendricks. He's here now in the meeting, but I do agree that that the plan that we did back in 2003 on behalf of on-site wastewater may be somewhat stale, maybe somewhat dated, and I don't know if there are future more onerous requirements that Mr. Kendricks can provide, but we really should get our arms around these requirements because it does affect the town. So with that, Mr. Kendricks, I'll hand it off to you.
Welcome, Leroy.
Good evening. Thanks for inviting me to the meeting, Chris. Just so that you know, in 2003, there was a Tiverton wastewater management plan presented, and that plan, and I'm going to be quoting from the plan document. It says, you know, what is the on-site wastewater management plan? It's a toolbox of strategies designed to ensure the proper design, location, construction, function, and maintenance of the on-site sewage disposal systems in town. And just so that you know, there's about 6,000 on-site wastewater management systems in town. Probably 90% of the wastewater is disposed through on-site systems, not sewers. There's only about 730, I think now, sewer customers in town, compared to, you know, more than 6,000 on-site wastewater customers. When properly developed and implemented, the on-site wastewater management plan can help preserve and improve the quality of valuable ground and surface water resources and provide cost-effective alternative to sewers. The on-site management program contains the following principal components: public outreach, education and technical assistance, septic system inspection and maintenance program, zoning and subdivision provisions related to septic system setbacks and performance standards, and financial incentive program for repair and upgrade of failing and substandard systems. Now, there's along with this 2003 wastewater management plan is a corresponding wastewater ordinance that was developed approximately at the same time. I think it's dated 2007. And at the time, the town had a wastewater management commission whose responsibility it was to implement this wastewater management plan. I joined that commission in 2007. And so I have a background of the commission and what's been done since 2007 for the last 13 years of this program. Now, so the objective of the plan is to protect drinking water and surface water and groundwater resources through septic management, to ensure that all septic systems are properly operated, regularly inspected, and routinely maintained, to prevent system malfunction and ensure maximum system longevity, outline the procedures for inspections, repairs, and maintenance, and enable the town to qualify for loan funds for the Community Septic System Loan Program. We call it CSLIP. And to summarize the town's on-site wastewater issues initiatives, goals, and regulations of local importance. Now, so that's out of the plan document, but where we are today is that we have a plan that's 17 years old. And the parts of the plan refer to the Wastewater Management Commission, parts of the plan refer to sewers, and there's a lot that has changed in 17 years. But also one thing that hasn't changed much in 17 years is this plan has not been implemented. Probably only 10% of it at best has been implemented in 17 years. And that's due to when it was the Wastewater Management Commission, there was a superintendent and there was a part-time clerk. And the superintendent handled the sewers in town and was responsible for doing everything that's outlined in this plan, including the public outreach and everything else. And it just wasn't possible when you have 6,000, septic systems in town. And so, this maintenance, this wastewater management plan was underfunded and under-resourced from its very inception. And it's that way today also. In 2014, with the advent of the Tiverton Wastewater District, the town subcontracted this work to the Tiverton Wastewater District. And the program has continued to be under-resourced and underfunded. And so we're really not making any progress toward the goals of this plan. And so what I was talking to Chris about was that we need to talk about the town and the district needs to talk about what we need to do going forward. I think this plan needs to be updated. I think the ordinance needs to be updated. And I think we need to revise the plan so that it meets today's goals, today's and tomorrow's goals, and set forth realistic budgets from now and in the future to make progress on the plan. So the idea is to have a workshop and discuss it with the council in some detail and form a tight alliance between the district and the town, and we can implement whatever we agree to over whatever time period. And I think part of this upcoming budget, we'd like to see funds to revise this and put a strategic plan together going forward, revise this and put a plan together going forward on how we're going to do this over the next several years. So that in a nutshell is what I'd like to do. And I'd like to propose to do this sooner rather than later, because it's obviously going to affect budgets going, for the next fiscal year. So we'd like to have things squared away so that we know what we're doing in the next fiscal year. So I'll open it up to questions or comments at this point.
Denise, you're on mute.
Sorry, I put myself on mute because the dog was barking. At the time that this ordinance was written in 2007, I guess the best way I want to say it is the wastewater was not a separate entity. Am I correct?
That's correct. 2003, yes.
Okay. So that changed a lot of things when that happened. And I do agree with you. The ordinance does need to be updated. We've discussed a lot in the past that there's problems concerning it. I think that a workshop would be helpful, but I also think that maybe out of this workshop, we might discuss having a subcommittee to put some plans together and work on it for us and then come to the council. I also think that during this workshop, we should invite the budget committee to hear what's going on, so they have some idea of what needs to be funded, because I think the budget committee being in this, as far as the funding that comes in May, it's very important that they know all the facts. And so we may want to invite them to the workshop also. But I think out of the workshop, we might want to decide or suggestions on a subcommittee to look into it with you, interested parties, and then come to the council with a plan. How does that sound?
That sounds good. I had talked to Chris about having a liaison between on the council. And I think that would be quite helpful. The subcommittee can certainly be involved, but it would be great if that was led by a liaison on the council. And so I would invite, if there's someone on the council that's interested, truly interested in working with us closely so that we can move forward and leading up the subcommittee for the council or whatever, that would be great.
And the reason why you never really had a representative from us is because we really don't have any authority over you in any way. But if you ask for a liaison, I certainly think that could happen. But that's one of the reasons why you were never appointed a liaison, because you're not part of the committees and the commissions that we oversee or that Chris oversees.
So wastewater, on-site wastewater management is the town's responsibility, not ours.
Well, I know.
So it makes sense to me that someone from the town, since the town owns it, would represent the town and would look after the town's interests. So maybe liaison's not the right word, but maybe someone from the town represents wastewater and looks upon us to work as part of the team. So whatever we want to call it, I think we all are on the same page that we need something.
Right, and I think calling it a liaison is fine. Don't get me wrong. I just didn't want you to think that we didn't put somebody there because we didn't want to. So I know there's someone interested in it. They've already, one of the counselors already spoke to me about it. What does everyone think about a workshop, and then maybe from the workshop have like a subcommittee, and definitely invite the budget committee to be right at the beginning of this process so that they understand everything that's going on. They don't all have to come, but maybe representatives from them, and we could reach out to them to join us. How does that sound to everyone?
You know what, Denise, I think that's really important because after 6 years on the budget committee, I can tell you that the people that I served with, a lot of them did not understand this whole process. We never funded it fully. And so I think it's important to get in right from the beginning. I don't know what money's going to be like next year, probably slightly better than this year, if that. But it's also almost a brand new budget committee. So they're all going to be new. So I think it's really important to get at least some of them listening so that like we're at least on the same page with Leroy.
All right, so we do have to set up a meeting for the budget, which has to be in the next 2 weeks. And I'll be talking about that later on the agenda. But I'm thinking, how about the week of January 18th, where we don't have a meeting that Monday? Although it's Martin Luther King Day, is that a problem? Is that a holiday for the town?
Not for me.
Town holiday, isn't it?
Is it a town holiday?
I have no idea.
It's
Yes, it is. It is a holiday. Yes.
Okay, so we could do it any day but that day. So I don't know what you have available that week. And Leroy, I would like your suggestion also.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not available that week, but any other week before or after that.
Okay, well, we could do it. I don't know if you want to wait all the way to January.
February.
Well, no, we could do it the last week in January.
Oh, okay.
We could do the last week in January. Would that be okay, Leroy?
That would be fine.
Well, we have a town council meeting on the 25th. So at either the Tuesday, Wednesday, or the Thursday after that. Anybody have any suggestions or any dates they can't make it that week?
The budget committee will be meeting on Thursday, most likely of that week.
Okay. So,
I'm good any of those nights, 26th, 27th, or 28th, I'm good.
okay, so we're talking Tuesday or Wednesday, the 26th or the 27th. Does anyone have a preference? We have a town council meeting on the Monday.
Like Joe, whatever you guys decide, I'm flexible.
All right, so let's go with, I'm just looking at my schedule, because of my call. Let's go with Tuesday, the 26th. Does that sound good for everyone?
Yes.
And we'll do a Zoom meeting at 7 o'clock. And Joan, could you send something out? I don't know who we're reaching out to on the budget committee right now. But I'm sure they're gonna have a chairman soon. So could we reach out to the budget committee? Because we're gonna have to reach out to them anyway, about the joint meeting.
Yes, I can do that.
Okay.
I've already
so-
reached out to them once, and I can add this to their first agenda.
Perfect, thank you. And Leroy, it's okay with you if we invite the budget committee? Don't you think that's a good idea?
I do. I think one of the things that we're gonna talk to on the workshop is funding, but there's some options for funding too that may be outside the budget committee that's allowed for by the ordinance. So, but I think that any education would be a good thing. I did have a question. Who is if someone is interested in being that liaison, I would be interested in talking to them ahead of that meeting.
Yes, because that's what I was gonna ask next.
Madam President, I would be interested in sitting in on that.
You'd be interested in being the liaison?
Sure.
Because what I was thinking, I know there's someone else also that wanted to be on it, and I don't,
Well, we can have two or more. We used to have two on there before.
right. And I
had,
think Leroy,
Well,
what
as
I
you
was
know,
gonna-
Denise, I want to do it too, but
okay. So what I was gonna suggest that you get together with the liaison and prepare the agenda for this meeting. Would that be okay?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so is it all right with the council if we have joint liaisons, Joe and Jay?
Unless there's somebody else that wants, I'll step off. I just figured I'd throw my name in there to at least have somebody, but if there's somebody else that's interested, that's fine.
Is that fine? Okay, so Joe and Jay, if you could get together with Leroy and get an agenda going, get it to Joan and we can advertise. Is that good?
I don't think we need to advertise yet, do we? It's not a public hearing. It's just a workshop.
We still have to advertise workshops, don't we, Mike?
That's 48 hours notice. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, just open meeting issue, not, all right.
Yeah,
No.
not advertising in the paper, but an open meeting posting.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. That's what I meant. Like, and if the budget committee is going to have a quorum, then they need to
They
post
also
that they're
have to
having a meeting that day too.
Okay.
All
Yeah.
right. Leroy, is that good?
Yeah, that's great. How do I get email addresses for Jay and Joe? Is that online or?
I'll get them to you, Lori.
Yeah, we'll get them to
Okay.
you, Leroy, and we'll get
All right.
contacts for you too.
Yeah.
I'll be with this group as well, so,
And if you
Chris,
need,
could you give my personal email, please?
sure.
and if you need
Oh.
any help with the agenda, I'm sure Chris and I can help you also.
Okay, great. There's one last thing I did want to say, if I would. Just this has nothing to do with on-site, but this is the construction project,
Mhm.
the phase 1 project. I just wanted to report out that the project is going well. It's shut down now for the winter, but we've connected 30 or more people to sewer on Poplar Street and some in the Robert Gray area, and Poplar Drive in Robert Gray area. Yes, and contractor's doing a great job. We're on time. We're on budget. We're coordinating with the other 2 utilities, and when this project's done, we're going to have 196 more people connected up to sewer.
Good.
Perfect,
we're-
good job.
Thank you. And we're also applying for another $5 million combination grant and funding for another project. We'll be putting that application in February. And so we're hoping to continue to do sewer projects along those areas that would benefit from sewer. So we're pretty excited about it, and we think it's very, very good for the town.
Good.
Thank you, Leroy. Great work.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Good night.
Happy New Year.
We'll
Thank
see you in a
you.
couple of weeks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay. Administrator Carter, request to advertise RFQ for part-time assistant town solicitor for prosecution.
So we have an assistant town solicitor who does most of our actually all of our prosecutions at district courts on behalf of the police department. The police chief is well versed in the needs of what needs to happen here. The individual who we've been using for a number of years has tendered his notice of retirement. So I'll let Chief Jones speak to the issue of what it is that we need, the process that we're going to go about trying to find someone and we'll recommend a short list of the council after we do an advertisement that we think is the appropriate method to at least get a replacement going.
All right, and before Chief Jones talks, I just want to give a little history because while I was doing the agenda, we talked through this.
Okay.
Originally, this was a few years ago when we had Attorney Tights. He had someone in his law firm that took care of this for us. And then what eventually happened was when other solicitors came, they were happy with the attorney that did this. So we continued his service. And that's how we ended up staying. And that's why we never went out for advertisement until now. We have talked to Attorney Marcello. He has no one in his law firm to do this. So that's why we decided to put this out as an RFQ and go for a separate attorney for this. So that's the history behind this. This is the first time that it will be advertised. Chief Jones, welcome.
Good evening, Madam President. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. So as the administrator stated, we've had Attorney Bernardo, who's been the police department prosecutor for a number of years. He's tendered his notice of retirement. So what we'd like to do is, with your permission, put out the request to have attorneys with the proper credentials, obviously, who are interested in doing this job based on the available funding that's been budgeted to assist us with prosecution. So and just really briefly, what that means is we are in district court every Thursday. So that is our day, and the Attorney General's office prosecutes all the felonies, and we as a town are responsible for prosecuting all the misdemeanors and violations of town ordinance in the municipal court. So that is what this person would be doing on a regular basis and working with us.
Okay. Any questions from the council? Mike?
Just a quick question on the RFQ, either Chris or Mike, I'm not sure. The opening line says that this person is the principal legal advisor to the police department and the town administrator. I assume that the principal legal advisor is Mike.
Yes.
Not the assistant. So this is specific to prosecution.
This is solely specific to the prosecutions of the misdemeanors in municipal court.
So
If we had any issue that we had issues with, we would bring to Solicitor Marcello. And if need be, we might need, some issues to have resolved if something he wasn't familiar with or didn't want to handle, which we've been able to work through most anything anyhow to date. I don't see anything of this and this line of misdemeanors or municipal court matters that would actually even rise to the level of actually seeing the Solicitor Marcello on some of these issues. But if we did, we would actually reach out to him for advice.
Yeah, I just wonder if that should be clarified in that second part of that.
I think because this only relates to the assistant town solicitor for prosecution, that we can clarify, we can change it to anything that you want. That's fine. But he's
Mike,
not the principal for legal advice for everything for this town.
Mike, is that wording okay with you, or should we change it?
It's okay. I mean, I read it with the understanding that it was just for the prosecution stuff. So it was, there may be issues, Councilman Burke, for restitution that they might ask the town administrator, they're willing to pay, X amount of dollars, will you take it, something like that. So those issues that I'm not familiar with because I don't get involved. But if it rose to a level where we don't implicate stuff, I'm sure that the town solicitor has reached out to me. But I will tell you that since I've been here since last January, I've never had any issues. Well, I've never had anybody reach out to me for any prosecution matters other than attorneys asking for a continuance. So of a criminal matter. So that's
Okay.
Madam President?
Who's talking to me?
Joe.
Me, Joe.
No.
All right, wait a minute. I'm gonna ask Deb first, Joe, because she had her hand up.
Sure.
I just a quick question. It says that the current one, his services end December 31st. We'll never have anyone in place by then. So what do we do in the interim, or court's not in session now?
So funny you should ask, but this individual is retiring for, just be blunt about it, for health reasons. And this has been an issue for a little while. And we've been utilizing Court Chappelle's attorney, who's been handling Portsmouth on the same calendar, for the same type of issues in the meantime. That doesn't necessarily mean we will make a recommendation to the council for a hire. He will probably apply for it. That doesn't necessarily mean that that's who you're going to hire. We will shortlist them for you to get you what we think is appropriate, but right now, Court Chappelle's attorney, in-house attorney, has been doing our work and using the fees that Mr. Bernardo would have been paid. And I think that's correct, Chief.
That is correct, sir.
So we're covered. So
Right now, we've been covered, and we will stay covered, but we would like to hire somebody who is permanently doing Tiverton's work instead of borrowing an assistant solicitor from another community.
Joe?
Yeah, I was going to ask, number one, it was ending 31st, and number two, was this a budgeted item? And what the budget was, if we knew what it was going to be for the upcoming year.
Chief,
That's
I
all.
believe
Thank you.
17.5 is what's
Okay,
budgeted.
thank you.
It is 17,500 for the year for police prosecution.
Okay, thank you.
And we haven't gone above that too much, right? I don't ever remember that being a problem.
We never have. And then whatever is left, the firm or the individual who gets hired would pick it up for the remainder of the budget year.
Yes. Okay. Anyone else? So do I have a motion to advertise for the RFQ for part-time assistant town solicitor for prosecution?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I'll second.
All right, so Joe made the
I'll
motion,
second.
Donna seconded. Bill,
Yes.
Donna,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Deb,
yes.
Joe,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Thank you, Chief Jones.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Administrator Carter requests street acceptance for Harbor Ridge Lane. Chris?
Okay, so I'm just going to give you a little bit of history on this, to the best of my knowledge. And all we would be asking here, and we do have Rick here to speak on the matter, is to accept the street. Whatever surety is still left would have to go back to the planning board to be released. But it is my understanding that this road has been completed. It was set up to be put before the town council back in June. And I don't know the particular reason, but it was pulled for some particular reason. And I think it had to do with the fact that the homeowners association was not created, or it wasn't registered, it wasn't recorded. We have since found out through this past snowstorm that the road obviously had not been accepted because we didn't plow it. We got a lot of calls on it. But after talking to the developer and with the Department of Public Works, we did find out that the homeowners association was in fact created. It is on file with the Secretary of State's office. And I'm confident that that issue has been resolved. And the street should probably at this point be accepted, and whatever sureties are left need to go back to the planning board to be reviewed and dealt with in that venue, because that's where it really should be dealt with. But my fear is that the next snowstorm's going to come and this street is still not accepted. I'll defer to Rick, but I think that this matter has, the road has been reviewed. I think everything was all set back in June to approve it, other than maybe the homeowners association. So I do know that I think Sue's in the attendee room. I don't know if she wants to speak, and Jennifer is also in the attendee room. If you have questions of any members of the planning board or the administrative officer.
Rick, do you have anything else to add? Rick?
Rick?
No, thank you, Denise and Chris. DPW has no objection to the acceptance of the road.
Okay, thank you. Would the planner or Susan like to speak?
Do either one of you want to speak? You can raise your hand, or I can bring you in, or
Susan has her hand raised.
I don't see her. Oh, here she is. All right.
Yeah.
Hang on.
I really like being able to see this now.
She's coming in.
All right, so can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
hi, Susan.
Susan Gill, Planning Board Chairman. Chris summarized it well, that it did come before the Planning Board. And after review by DPW, the road was found to be acceptable to the Planning Board. So we had released most of the surety back to the developer. And then it was, at that time, we voted to forward it on to the council for acceptance, final acceptance of the streets. And Chris was correct, then it would come back to the planning board and we would release the final $15,000 surety. So from the planning board perspective, we supported the approval of acceptance of the street.
Thank you, Susan. Anyone else like to speak? Jay?
Not that it matters, but I walked through that area over the weekend. The road is brand new. There's 15 houses in there. They're all completed. It's a beautiful thing. So I understand that by accepting the road, then we also accept plowing and trash and all that.
Yes.
Well, it's ready to go.
Have we been picking up trash there?
Yes.
We have. We do that sometimes with unaccepted bills. I'm not quite sure how that happens. All right. All right, so I'd like to entertain a motion.
So moved. Move approval, acceptance of Harbor Ridge Lane.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
So Mike made the motion, Deb seconded. Bill?
Yes.
Donna?
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Deb?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
And I'm a yes. Thank you, everyone. DPW Director Rogers requests to hire extreme grinding to grind landfill yard waste, cost not to exceed $16,000.
Rick?
Yeah, yes, Denise, this is Rick Rogers, and DPW does, request to hire extreme grinding to grind the yard waste at the landfill with a cost not to exceed $16,000. It's something we do annually or semi-annually, depending on the size of the pile. And the grindings are used as part of the landfill daily cover material. It's a fairly specialized item. We're only aware of 2 outfits in the area that do it, and I mean the greater area. And they both submitted prices, and Extreme was the lowest price.
I was just going to ask that question if we went out to bid. I don't remember if we did. Okay. Any questions from the council?
It did not go out. It didn't go out to bid, Denise. It's a specialty item. It's simply that we contacted the only 2 known players in the area, and they both submitted prices.
And that's okay, Mike? Okay. Okay, thank you. Any questions from the council?
I'd like to make a motion
Okay, Donna?
that we, Rick Rogers requests to hire Extreme Grinding to grind landfill and yard waste, cost not to exceed $16,000. Be approved.
Do I have a second?
Second,
Deb seconded. Bill,
Yes.
Donna? Donna,
Yes.
Jay?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, Donna, I heard you. Mike,
Yes.
Deb,
yes.
Joe,
Yes,
and I'm a yes. Thank you, Rick. Don't go away. DPW Director Rogers requests to advertise position and hire a DPW part-time mechanic.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Rick. Do you have anything to
Yes,
add?
thank you. The part-time mechanic. Yes, thank you, and thank you for the sub grinding. The part-time mechanic that DPW had retired, well, he left, he had already retired from his other job, but he left the DPW employment on Christmas Eve. So we would like to hire, obviously, we'd like to hire a full-time mechanic, but we don't have the funds. So we would like to hire a part-time mechanic, and we'd like to advertise and hire that part-time mechanic.
Any questions? Bill?
Question for Rick. Why aren't we looking for a certified diesel mechanic?
Rick, did you hear that?
Yes, thank you, Bill. We certainly would like to have one, but at the rate that we pay with no benefits, I suspect we would not find one.
So could we at least ask, as part of the description, that it be a preference? Because do we have issues with the fire department equipment that we really need to have a certified diesel mechanic working on some of his equipment?
absolutely.
Because our current guy, our full-time mechanic isn't certified either, is he?
Rick?
Well, it's a little, and this is Rick Rogers again. It's a little more complicated than that. Actually, what the fire department would like is an EVT, an emergency vehicle technician. And that is a years long process. The courses are not offered that often, and there's multiple aspects to it. There's brakes, there's engines, there's electronics, et cetera, et cetera. So we certainly would like to hire one, but at the rate and the fact there's no benefits whatsoever on this pay, that I think we would have a very hard time finding one. We were lucky when we had Rainey last time. He had retired from Newport. He was not an EVT, but he was a big truck mechanic.
So what do we do if we need that kind of a service?
So I know that we've been doing some of the work, but I would really like Bruce to weigh in on this. I think we should really ask the trust some questions about some of our liability if we don't use a certified mechanic to do some of the work that needs to be done. So that's something Bruce and I are going to have to work out, because I'm just a little bit uncomfortable having some of our work being done by somebody who's not certified to validate the truck as an operational, system. And I know it will ultimately cost us more money, but we're gonna have to pick and choose our battles with this, I think, depending on what the issues really are. I'm not saying that we shouldn't have a part-time mechanic who can deal with big equipment, and maybe they don't have this certification. But that's, I would really like Bruce to weigh in on that when it comes to his equipment.
So should we table this until the next meeting until you do some research and talk to?
Well,
I see you, Deb.
we should hear from others first, but
Okay, Deb.
You see me? You see me?
I
Yeah,
just
see
wanted
you
to,
too.
I
Okay.
just wanted to make sure, because I remember that we had a mechanic who retired and the fire department had to send out a lot of their trucks because they had to be repaired by someone with the certification, and it was very, very costly. And they had to drive it someplace, and I want to say Cranston, but don't quote me on the place. So is it worth it, if not this person, but to look at the full-time person and maybe getting them certified if it takes a year? If it's someone who we already have in place, maybe we look at that too as another option. Hi, Joe.
Go ahead,
Hi.
Joe. I see you.
The liability is not worth it. The money you're going to save by having somebody else do it. You're better off getting certified mechanics. Somebody gets hurt, like the incident we had earlier. Somebody gets hurt in town and that truck was not repaired by a certified person, we could have bigger problems. I think it's worth looking into getting somebody rather than just picking up a part-timer who's not certified. That's my opinion.
Thank you, Joe. I see Chief Reimels has entered the room. Bruce, do you have an opinion?
I certainly do. I totally agree with Joe Perry, Council Perry. It is, I don't know exactly what the liability is. We follow NFPA. I believe it's 1710 or 1701. Don't quote me on that. I will find that out tomorrow. But NFPA states that they have to be certified. If it's a brake issue, the mechanic has to be a certified EVT for the brake system. If it's a drivetrain issue, it has to be a certified EVT for the drivetrain. Same thing with the pumps. You can't just have anybody working on the pumps. They have to be certified because it's a life safety issue, obviously. So I totally agree with and think it's totally worth looking into getting somebody that's an EVT to work on our trucks. We're doing that now, but we have to send out the vehicles from a lot of the things that need to be fixed, and it's it's $150, $135, $150 an hour. If it's travel time, it's like Councilor Janick said, it's crazy money. It's a lot of money to have somebody else fix these trucks, and if we can get somebody in town, it would be totally worth it. I do think that the mechanic that we have now is not EVT certified. I think it'd be a great thing to get him certified. There's not a lot of, and I don't know if it's a COVID thing, but there's not a lot of classes going on right now. But it's certainly, we're keeping our ears open. We're trying to find him for him. I think he's done one. I think he did an electrical class last year, I believe. But it's absolutely worth looking into getting somebody that we can get certified as an EVT, or hiring somebody that's already certified.
Well, I would suggest adding it as a desirable in the job spec. That doesn't necessarily mean we're going to find anybody at the rate that we're currently budgeted to pay for. And I do want to give some deference to Bruce and his shop, and that they do send some of this work out to be done elsewhere. But there is still a need for a part-time mechanic who can deal with big equipment that is not having a need for a required certification, because Rick's office has a number of big trucks there that they work on regularly as well. So it's kind of caught between a rock and a hard place with this. I would suggest that we still put the ad out and just add that as a desirable, that we would like to see somebody with that caliber. I don't know if we'll get anybody based on the rate, though. So, this is one of these issues that we're going to look at in two aspects of the budget as we come forward. It's going to be probably an increase in the maintenance on the fire department's equipment if we can't find somebody. Because anybody worth their salt that has this kind of qualification isn't going to work for the rate that we're going to pay at DPW, even as a full-time full mechanic. It's realistically, we're not going to be able to find this, I don't think, but it would be nice to, if somebody is retired and wants to work for us and is willing to, use their certification, I think it would be worthwhile to at least ask.
Madam President.
So what we're suggesting is add this to the present job description, and then if we don't get anyone, then we need to look further into how we're gonna get this. Donna?
Have we ever looked around to see what Portsmouth and Middletown, maybe they have a certified mechanic that's part-time that would want to be shared? Have we ever looked into that?
We can look, but my
Are there other
suspicion is they're doing the same thing that
towns
we're
that
doing.
Chris, go ahead. You can answer, Donna.
I said, we will look and we'll ask, but my suspicion is that they are doing the same thing that we're doing today. Any of the things that need certification, they're sending out to a vendor to have done. Anything that they can do that doesn't need the certification, they're trying to do in-house.
Mike?
Chief Reynolds, just a clarification question. You had mentioned certification, EVT certifications for different elements of the vehicles. So are there separate certifications, or is it one certification that if I'm certified as an EVT mechanic, then I can address all of those elements that you spoke of? And then I have a separate question for Chris.
No, I believe, and I'm not an expert in this by any stretch, but I believe, so you have a mechanic that's a trained mechanic, then he has to go to class for the brake systems on emergency vehicles. And then, so he's certified in the brake systems for that emergency, for emergency vehicles. And the same thing with the pumps, same thing with the drivetrains. So it's different certifications for different processes on the vehicles.
So we could get somebody who's only certified in brakes, for example.
Correct.
Okay, and then Chris or Rick, the diesel is a separate certification you're talking about. So it's really looking at a person who may or may not have that combination.
Correct.
Okay.
Quick question. Madam President, Joe Perry.
She's saying yes, she's on mute.
Okay. I have a couple of questions. Number one, has anyone looked into New England Tech or ITT or any of these programs that train mechanics in diesel and in emergency equipment to see if there's anybody that might be graduating from a class or in being an instructor at a class that might be looking for something like this part-time that is certified, number one. And secondly, you can be certified in multiple tasks such as brakes and pumps and all of that, and be certified in all of them. It's just a matter of how much schooling or classes you want to go to. But I really think it's feasible to look into that because it'd be worth our while, plus the liability. And the other thing is check with the surrounding cities and towns like Fall River. They have their own mechanics garage up there by Airport Road. You might talk to somebody up there and see if there's some programs that are available that we could reach out to and see if there's anybody that's interested or has some knowledge of what we can do to get somebody to come on board.
They're all very good suggestions, and we will absolutely do all those as we go out and start to seek, but we really need to get somebody.
And Chris, I'd be willing to help if you need me. I'll talk to somebody in Fall River. I have some friends in the Fall River Fire Department in Warwick, and I'll reach out, see what I can find out if that help.
Okay.
Jay.
How do I put this? Okay, I don't want to rain on the parade, but it's been mentioned many times that we do not pay top of the scale, and we never will. It would be nice to get a mechanic who has the basics and then school him up to the level that we need. However, there needs to be some mechanism in that effort that retains him. What I would not want to see happen is we get a kid or even whoever we get, and we get him certified in all these things, and all of a sudden he's a valuable commodity to everybody and we lose them. I don't know how we would address that, but we need to put a tail on this so that, yeah, we're going to educate you, but you need to stay put for a certain length of time.
Madam President, one other question I had for Rick Rogers. Is this position going to be interviewed by the Personnel Board, or is this something that they're going to do in-house?
Personnel. It has to go through the personnel, doesn't it?
Yes.
No, yes,
Okay.
thank you, Joe. Joe, that would, yeah, yes, it goes through the personnel board, Joe and Denise.
Okay, thank you, Rick.
Anyone else before I ask for a motion? Would anyone like to make a motion?
Madam President, I'll make a motion to approve the advertisement and hiring of a DPW part-time mechanic with the addition of language as proposed by Administrator Kata, that we have at least preference given to someone with the certifications for some type of EVT and or diesel.
Second.
Joe Perry, second. Bill,
Did his motion say in hiring or hiring?
Advertising and hiring. It's through our hiring process.
and hiring. What's it? Bill, do you have a question?
I'm gonna vote no.
Okay. Donna,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Deb,
Yes.
Joe Perry,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. So six yes, one no.
Okay, we'll report back to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Bruce.
Thank you.
Town administrator, update on town audit.
I think I spoke about this a little bit earlier.
Yeah, we did.
So it's been extended till January 31st, and hopefully we get the results back as quick as we can.
Thank you. Next is me, Councilor deMedeiros, discussion on an initial budget workshop and potential dates. So according to the charter, we have to have a joint workshop before January 15th or on January 15th. January 15th is a Friday. So I was thinking the first week in January or the second. Deb and Jay, I don't know if I remember this right, but I think we used to do it on a Thursday, right? When the budget, or did we?
Pretty sure, because normally we scheduled it.
Okay, so we have January 7th or January 14th.
I would say we would do the 7th, because then they'd get into their budget.
Okay.
Like their agendas.
Okay, so I would like to put out a couple of dates, because we have to talk to the school committee and we have to talk to the budget committee. So suppose the 5th is a Tuesday and it's not a school committee meeting. It's an off week, and the 7th is a Thursday. So what do you think about sending both those dates to the budget committee?
That
And the
works
school
for me.
committee?
That works.
Fifth and the 7th?
What?
The 5th and the 7th?
The 5th or the 7th.
Or the
I'm going to
7th.
give them two options because you don't know. And all we need is I don't know if you've ever, some of you have definitely participated. It's only a 10 to 15 minute meeting usually, just to discuss where we are and what we're doing. And it's a requirement of the charter, and that's why we have to do it.
But they
So-
don't have a quorum.
What?
They don't have to have a quorum,
You do have to have a quorum.
Yes.
do you?
Of each body.
From
Yes,
each body. Okay, so Joan disappeared on me.
What was the date, Denise,
The 5th or the 7th
of January?
of January. So Jeannie, if we can reach out to the school committee and the budget committee, see which one they can make, and then a general can then just send out an email to all of us to say which date it would be.
Okay, Joan
I'm
had a
good.
hand
I'm
up.
good on either or.
Is everybody good on either or?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And of course, it'll be a Zoom meeting. I can't wait till it's not a Zoom meeting anymore, but it'll be a Zoom meeting again.
How many faces can you get up there in one meeting?
I can,
Zoom, you can get quite a few.
yeah, I can get a lot. I
Yeah,
can't,
Microsoft Teams, you can't.
yeah, I can get a
It'll
lot.
just be very little.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, what's
So
odd with what's going on
will-
with me,
This is gonna run into, because I just booked a meeting for the Board of Canvases on the 5th,
what time
Yeah,
though?
so you won't,
right? So it's at 6 o'clock,
you won't be able to use it.
right?
Oh, Board of Canvases is usually earlier than that. Okay,
I would stick with the 7th and the 14th, or
how about the 6th and the 7th, the Wednesday and?
Not the
3rd?
6th,
this is a
Not the
Monday one.
6th.
not the 6th.
Okay, so the 7th, well, I think we're gonna have to go the 7th and the 14th. Because the
Okay.
next week is a week where the town council's meeting on the Monday and the school committee's meeting on the Tuesday. So we have very little option that week.
Well,
All right.
Denise, or let me ask Chris, have they posted
Have who posted?
Board of Canvassers?
Board of Canvases, I don't know if they've posted, but they've,
They have to have that meeting.
They have
I'm
to
not sure
have
why they have to have it, but yeah, I post them, I put them in a Zoom thing every time somebody asks me for them. But I do know,
I think the 7th and the 14th,
7th or the 14th, one of those.
so that's both a Thursday night.
okay.
Okay.
I'll know when I get the Zoom invite.
Now, the only thing I will have to say, one of these days, I may have to stay at work, but Mike will be there anyway, but not that important, but I'll try to, well, it's, as long as we have a quorum. I think it'll be all right, but I have to check. There's a lot going on right now in work, so. Okay, so the next item is mine again. Discussion on town council policy regarding agenda items. I just want to make it clear that all of you can put in agenda items. The Tuesday before our Monday meeting, I have an agenda meeting with Chris, Mike, and Joan. I would also like to invite Mike to join me because if I can't make that meeting for some reason, he'll know about all the agenda items and hear the discussion. So whenever he can, he'll be with me. The town council can submit any agenda items to Joan. We would like them in before that Tuesday so that we can discuss it and any backup, if necessary, be included. All right, Joan has to get this advertised after that, she has to have it out by Thursday. So it's very, very difficult to get all the backups. So that's why we request as much as possible. If you do have an item, please submit the backup with it for Tuesday. If there's some reason that the agenda is very, very full and we might not be able to fit it in, I will never take an agenda item off from a town councilor. I'll talk to you guys personally, see if we can wait another week or so. If you don't want me to, that's fine. We'll keep it on that date. But sometimes either it's a very full meeting and it looks like I could probably ask you to delay it. I will call you, but I'll never take it off without your permission. All right. Any questions, Chris?
Just one comment, and Jeannie can clarify this, but if there's any item that comes up, and from any of the councils that deal with a public hearing, our local advertising now has to be in by Monday, Jeannie, instead of,
Monday, yeah, our drop dead date is now Monday. I believe he said 4 p.m., 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. So we have to get everything in by Monday if it's going to be in the Thursday paper.
Well, that would be all right anyway, because the agenda item would be request to go out to advertise for a public meeting. And then at that point, then we will have to wait the amount of time, but that item would be a request for a public meeting.
I just want it to be in your head as you're thinking about it, because your meeting's a Monday night. You've already missed
Yeah, I know.
so it wouldn't be advertised till the following. It is what it is, but I just wanted to have, if you think there's anything pressing, the quicker you can get it to Jeannie and Joan, the better off we're gonna be as far as trying to get something advertised. So.
Okay.
Where do we get those forms? You know, these request forms,
I
On the
can-
website.
Sure.
they're on the website? Okay.
Just make them up yourself, Deb.
They're on the website and
Hey, I'm very creative, Joe.
they're also available at the clerk's office. And
Yeah, if
Okay.
anybody needs one, just email me and I can send you a template. for you to keep.
Okay, thank you.
Or we can all go to Buddy's Brothers and do them there.
Hey, I'll walk.
All right,
So
all right.
just one other item, before you move to go into executive, is it possible to change the agenda so I can bring Mr. Long in first?
Yes,
Because I'm not sure how I would keep him out in the waiting room. Otherwise,
yes. Yes, we can bring them in first.
okay.
Okay, so I'd like to entertain a motion for potential litigation 4246582, litigation strategy and legal options related to withholding of minimum revenue payment from the state of Rhode Island.
So
Do I have a
moved.
motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second?
Bill,
Yes.
Donna,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Deb,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes,
and I'm a yes. I'd like to entertain a motion to go into executive session, Rhode Island General Law 4246A5, discussion overview of the disposition of publicly held property in the Tiverton Industrial Park. Do I have a
So
motion?
moved. So moved.
second, yes,
Bill,
Yes.
Donna,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Deb,
Yes.
Joe,
yes,
and I'm a yes. I'd like to entertain a motion to go into executive session under Rhode Island General Law 42465A2, Sharks. Realty Town versus Town of Tiverton, update and approval of final settlement agreement as negotiated by the Rhode Island Interlocal Trust.
So moved.
second,
Bill,
yes,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Deb,
Yes.
Joe,
yes.
and I'm a yes. I'm going to take a 5-minute recess. And
Oh, Chris, sorry, you do.
All right, don't worry about it.
They're just
Oh, we
loading
got-
up now.
He's asking,
Should be-
and it's like,
I think we're
well, anyway,
You say we're all set, Andrew?
Yes, you're all set.
All right, thank you.
okay, we're back in open session where we're going to, I'm going to entertain a motion to seal the minutes.
Oh, Chris, sorry.
I'll make that motion to seal the minutes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
So Joe and Bill, Joan. Motion's been made and second. Bill,
Yes.
Jay,
Yes.
Deb,
Yes.
Donna,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Joe,
Yes,
and I'm a yes.
Well.
Attorney Marcelo, would you like to go from here or you want?
Yeah, so just pursuant to Rhode Island general laws, Madam Clerk, you just need to put this in the minutes. Pursuant to general laws 42464B, there was an executive session.
I don't see 4B.
I'm sorry, no, 4B, sorry. That there, to the extent that any votes were taken, they need not be disclosed for the period of time during which the disclosure of which would jeopardize any strategy, negotiation, or investigation under pursuant to the closed session section. I can give you this tomorrow, but so there were votes taken, but the disclosure of which at this point would jeopardize negotiations and legal strategy. So we will not be disclosing the votes at the current time.
Okay. Is that fine? We're all set?
That's it. That's all you need to put on the minutes.
Sounds good.
I'll get the clerk that tomorrow, Madam Clerk, a little bit more artfully drafted.
Thanks, Mike. All right.
motion to adjourn?
Yep. Joe, do I have a second?
Yes,
Second.
Okay, Bill? Well, just
Yes.
do hands. Motion to adjourn.
Yes.
Everything on screen. Unanimous.
Happy New Year, everybody. See you next year.
Happy